Hello, everybody. How's it going out there?
This is my radio voice.
I am definitely trying to go. This is my gaming show voice right here. Oh, not very good. Anyways, I'm Paul, and right here next to me is Mr.
Mark.
Mr. Mark Man.
We're trying something new, a little like a podcast type thing. We have a lot of opinions about the new Pokemon game, and we want to express them in this little podcast-like video. There's not gonna be much to any visuals, so like if you want, you can tab out of YouTube, play your video game, read your magazine. I don't know what you're doing over there. You do whatever you want to do. This is just us talking. We want to get a few things off our chest. We want to talk about the game. And just stuff.
We're talking
like that.
amongst ourselves. We figured, hey, maybe some of you guys, for whatever reason, would actually want to watch.
Maybe
listen,
share some thoughts and have some suggestions.
Feel free to put that down, man, because we're nice guys. I mean,
We're looking for some conversation here.
we look for friends.
Friends are lonely.
Friends
no,
are
we're not. But let's all right. Let's get right into it. We're gonna start off just reviewing, not really reviewing, but just
like an overview.
an overview of the game and how it left an impact on us. I guess that's way too dramatic, but anyway, the for me, XY was a great game. At first, I thought when they announced it last year that wow, Black and White 2 came out just now, and so now in 1 year from now, Gen 5's done.
Mm-hmm.
They were they were really pushing. They were pushing it. But I was, of course, I was excited. I think all of our earlier videos, all we talked about was the new Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like in our Mega Man and Sonic videos, all we talked about. It's we're excited.
Not even so much newer Pokemon, just Pokemon in general. But yeah, when the new Pokemon games were really out there in the far off distance, we were just kind of really peeking for it. And I have to agree, this was I was surprised too when they made that big announcement, and they're all saying, "Hey, here comes a whole new gen, whole new wave of Pokemon." But at first it felt very soon. It's really they're gonna start one already. But eventually as more things as time went on, I became more and more and more excited for this game. This was the first time in a while that I was this excited for any video game, really. So this was a very nice change of pace. And I was glad to have something to look forward to, and for everything that they were showing, the way the game looks and everything like that, it was awesome, and it just kept building up.
Yeah. So whatever. Fast forward, the day came, we got the game. Started playing it. I was very excited. But when I started playing, I did not start with the experience share on. I turned it off. I never liked it in the old games. I only kind of used it the EV train after I beat the game. That's all I used it for. So I turned it off, not knowing the real benefits of having it on. So while I was playing the game, it took me a long time. I was grinding for a long time. For 2 days I would grind. And then when I talked to Paul, I was like, yeah, I beat the game already. I was like, wow. That was so fast. And so I asked him, what did you do? He was like, I don't know. It just seemed like I just did it. I was like I'm so underleveled. We'll turn the experience share on. So as I turned it on, literally in 20 minutes, all my guys were already stronger than all the other trainers. So
yeah, that is definitely one thing I could say about this is the experience share was different, and I don't know if I call it a good thing or a bad thing, or just it's good and bad, because it's a good way to kind of keep everything balanced. It's a lot easier to keep everything balanced, but as far as making the game challenging, it sort of like takes that away if you keep it on too long. Like I didn't have it on the entire time though. I realized that I was starting to like really be like overpowering everything in my path by the time I like hit the 8th gym, and that's when I decided to turn it off. But yeah, it definitely balances your guys out. So that way, there's not even like one Pokemon that you have that's stronger than everything else. Everything else just is close behind it,
but they're all just way stronger than all the other trainers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's if there's anything I could say about that. And then Endgame, the way experience share is being put out like this time, combined with something, I kind of miss the old experience share. It definitely like helps with like Endgame a lot better than this current one, I feel. Because back then, the experience share from like, at least the past gen, it's been about like focusing on like one Pokemon at a time, and it's definitely like essential for EV training. Whereas this time it's just like it's all like group focused, and there's really like no way to isolate one guy easily with giving him an experience for like training him up and everything like that. Not to mention, there's also really not, at this point, a good place to level grind. Because, like with last gen, when you beat the Elite Four, you can go back and face them, and they're a lot stronger, and they give out a lot more bonuses.
Let alone all the other trainers in the other 4 towns, or 2 or 3 towns at the end. Yeah. They all had like level 60, 70 guys. What was I going to say? With the experience share... How you were talking about, like, it doesn't, like, isolate, like, because what it is, how the experience share works, it's the person in battle gets all experience, that it gets. And then any other Pokemon that weren't in battle, they all get half the experience. Mm-hmm. So, that's how it works in this gen. The older gens, they either all split it evenly, like in first gen, or I don't know how it worked in second, but like 3rd, 4th, and 5th, you put it on a guy, and then so they would always split the experience with the guys in battle. Mm-hmm. But so your trainer, you usually have 6 Pokemon with you. You have experience share on, so all your guys are at least getting half the experience that they're allowed to get, whatever. But then you face then you see an NPC trainer. They have 2 people. You see another trainer. They have 2 people. Another trainer. They have 3. Okay. You go to a gym. They have 3. You go to this, after the second gym, so it's 3rd gym to 8th gym, I think they all have 3 Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, they never exceeded any.
Yeah, it's 3. In Red and Blue, Giovanni had 5, I think. Blaine had 4.
Yeah, it was 2, 2, then 3 and 3. Yeah, because Lieutenant Surge had 3, Erica had 3, and then Koga, Sabrina, and Blaine had 4, and then Giovanni even had 5. Also,
difficult going.
Yeah, also the Elite Four this gen, they only had 4 Pokemon each. Whereas before there was 5 Pokemon each. And so it's kind of underwhelming in that regards. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they even still stuck with giving the champion 6 Pokemon. They're just kind of limiting the numbers there. But it definitely becomes really underwhelming when you have so few guys that you're already like overpowered because of getting all this experience for your whole team. It's I'm not saying like longer battles are tougher, but there's not any more chances of tougher guys to like come after you because there's so few of them at a time. I mean, I think off the top of my head, I think there was one guy who had 6 Magikarp.
That's the only trainer minus your rival at the end of the game and champion with Diantha, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
So those 3 trainers are the only ones with 6.
Which I can say I was not surprised when I saw her as champion. They sort of follow the pattern of like you meet the champion earlier on once or twice, and then hey I'm guess what, I'm champion.
Yeah. Surprise,
Sure.
But like the only thing, if I can say that I don't like about the games, and it's they're kind of small. It's that the game was easy. Like, the game was easy. And I guess that's all, because that falls under, they only had 3 to 4 Pokemon and the experience share. So, a lot of people don't like the vast selection that you could catch early in the game. You could catch a lot of different Pokemon. People didn't like that. I love that. You have variety.
Yeah.
When I sorry. When I play through a Pokemon game, I actually spend the actual 30 minutes to just running around in the grass to make sure I caught all the different Pokemon. So if I wanted to, I could I want to use him over him, so I switch them out. Because that's the whole point. I want to raise guys that I like, but we'll get to that in a minute. So.
Yeah. I was just gonna really agree. I mean, the game didn't really seem to be terribly difficult, and that could be just from a number of things. I don't know if it's because we're our age and we've been playing Pokemon since the beginning, but even then, I felt like even last gen there was more challenge to it than there is this gen. They definitely made it very easy. They made it much easier to gain a bunch of Pokemon. Even when you start off the game, you got your starter, you're running through the town, and then not too long afterwards, here's another starter. And
that's a good point.
I've definitely felt that to be very generous because starter Pokemon stat wise are they're overall they're supposed to be better than your standard Pokemon.
Yes.
Aside from some other ones. But, all around, there's just, there's good to decent stats on the starters, and they give you 2 right away. Also, not to mention that Torchic giveaway as well. So you could potentially have 3 starter Pokemons at the beginning of the game. And I was hoping, personally, at least when you have in-game 2 starters, that the rest of the game would somehow be they would give you a reason to have 2 great guys right off the bat. That wasn't the case. It really wasn't the case at all. Combining that with the experience share, with the low numbers of guys coming at you, and just all these little bonuses here and there that they just tossed in there. It seems like they really made it easy to play through it and things like that.
Well, let's throw it out. Do you guys think that the game was too easy? And how do you guys feel about potentially having 3 starters in the beginning? I'm sure there's gonna be people who like that. I
mean, it's a novel idea. It's sort of like a dream come true type thing, and it's kind of fun to have that there. But it's just too good.
Well, yeah. So regardless, comment below.
Yeah, give us your thoughts.
Was the game too hard? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Me and Paul can go on a long time about this, but we're going to switch gears a little bit to something that I really want to talk about, which is the Pokemon quote-unquote metagame.
Well, can I go back to something?
Go, yeah.
All right. What did you think about Team Flare?
Forgettable.
Yeah.
I actually had someone text me, and they're like, "Dude, Team Flare is like Hitler." It's like, what? Because he wanted to exterminate everyone who wasn't fashionable, and in a weird way, it kind of makes sense since it takes place in in France, and the history with Paris and World War II. I kind of see it. I don't think they're going for the Hitler theme, but I see it. But forgettable. And Team Rocket was making money. That's what they wanted to do, make money.
Yeah.
Magma and Aqua
was terraforming or something.
Yeah,
to sort of
to shape the world in either water or land. I get that.
Team Galax.
Galactic.
Team Galactic.
Make a new universe.
Yeah.
And then Plasma free the Pokemon.
Which should cover up for an alternative motive for what's his face.
And then Team Flare just kill people who aren't fashionable.
Was that really like the reason? I mean,
He didn't. Well,
I think like I think his reasoning really was just like, people are disgusting. Like, there's so much bad in the world, so let's just kill everyone who's not going to follow me, like type thing. It was like a very psychotic mentality that he kind of showed. Like,
don't worry, because he was friends with the professor. So after that whole thing, all the professor said to you was, "Oh, I'm sorry about that guy. He was a little crazy."
He didn't mean it.
Anyway, take this ticket and go to the city.
I know. It's just, even the professor thought it was forgettable, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that with the other teams, because it's like, like Team Magma and Aqua, Team Galactic and Team Plasma. There was like something there that was just like so life-changing or world-changing or like something that's like very dramatic that their ultimate goal was. And then I heard people saying that Team Flare sort of had like a simplistic type goal in mind, which is pretty much just kill everybody. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's still been following like these like major these major themes that these other ones have been having since Gen 3.
Yeah.
And that's not. I mean, it's not bad, but it's like we've seen this already. And for what we first heard when they first announced Team Flare, that they were going to be like Team Rocket. They were. I remember first hearing that their goals was to make money, like Team Rocket. I'm pretty sure it was just a rumor or anything like that, but it was something that like sounded good because it's like, let's take a break from like these diabolical, world-ending, changing bad guys that just want to kill everybody.
Yeah.
But instead they ended up doing it again anyways. So. I mean, I was hoping for another Team Rocket, which ultimate goal was for them to gain wealth through Pokemon. But
side note, I don't have time to talk about it, but guys, search. I know it's on the internet somewhere. Search for like Team Rocket. Like Team Rocket, like good guy Team Rocket or something. There's this long story about how Team Rocket was actually like saving the world from all the other organizations, but since you're a 10-year-old, you didn't know any better. So like by beating Giovanni, all this bad stuff happens. Look it up. Found it on Tumblr once, so it's around there.
Yeah,
but yeah, I want to switch into the metagame of Pokemon, and this is something that's very interesting that I really want to talk about. When we were younger, I don't think there probably was a metagame, but we were too young to know in Red and Blue. Because I know EVs existed in, or effort values existed in Red and Blue. I think dynamic values or the precursor to IVs existed. But as a child, you don't know what any of that means, so you just raise your favorite guys. Or the strongest guys. When I was a kid, my lineup was Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, Mewtwo, Zapdos, and Articuno. So, but then, like when 4th gen came, I took a break. When I was in high school, I didn't play much Pokemon. But so in 3rd gen, or 4th gen, I'm sorry. In 4th gen is when I read up on like EVs as like effort values and IVs, and it was way over my head. So even when I played Pearl for the first time, my team was just Pokemon that I liked. Fast forward to like 2 or 3 years ago when me and Paul got into Pokemon again, and I was playing Platinum. The first guy I EV trained was Charizard. Even though like every Smogon and Cerebi say he's not that good of a Pokemon, and if you use him, you have to use like a Bellizard, or he's gonna be garbage. Well, I didn't listen, so Charizard was my favorite, so I raised him the way that I liked to raise him. I gave him his effort, his EVs, and speed and whatever. But then, then I made when I first started, I made guys that I liked. I like Charizard and Manectric, so I made them. And then something clicked in me where I'm not playing Pokemon anymore. I'm doing math and spreadsheets, making Pokemon that I don't necessarily find interesting or cool. But since their stats are so good, I was like, well, cool, I'll make them. I can't think off the top of my head. So I did that for a while, and then recently, I think the reason why I'm feeling this way is I read something. I can't remember what it was, but like I don't know. I'm just gonna. This doesn't matter. The end. What I'm trying to say is like the meta game in Pokemon really like important. I heard people use Smogon. You have to there's Smogon rules. They made a whole set of tiers that only certain Pokemon can play in to make it balanced in their mind. And they're a huge community. They take a lot of time. I'm not saying what they do is wrong, as in or competitive. I think it is, but to me, Pokemon shouldn't be about math and spreadsheets and perfect IVs. And I understand that competitively, you do want the strongest guys with the strongest they can be. But at the heart of Pokemon, that's not what it is. If you wanted to be stupid and listen to the anime that I don't know if they still do an anime with Ash and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's like friendship and partnership. I guess that's what Pokemon is. Like a shell. If you boil it all down, that's what they want you to take away: is Pokemon are your friends, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know this is a very odd tangent, but I just want to ask you, Paul, and you listening, if anyone is even listening anymore, because that was a stupid tangent. What do you think about the metagame, and do you think that sites like Smogon and Cerebi movesets, do you think that they belong in the Pokemon community?
Well, I think they well established themselves in the community as of right now, because you got your whole end game that you play through and everything like that, and yeah, you're going to use the guys that you like through that. But I think there's more than enough people that have already taken in this whole competitiveness and natures and stats and moves and breedings and all these terminology from competitive play, and actually just bound that. And there's even people who do that in game too. They're just going to be like, I'm just going to catch guys until I get a good nature. Yeah. And it's in a way, if your sole goal is to really make a strong team, then that is your tool. But to actually enjoy the game, that's not the only way to really enjoy Pokemon at all. I mean, because when I play through X, I just choose who I wanted to. The natures don't really matter when you're just playing through the game, when you're going through the story, when you're just climbing through it. I wasn't terribly concerned about what my natures were, or what EVs I'm actually gaining from fighting these guys or anything like that. I didn't really care, because I was there to play with the guys I like, play with the game how I want to play it, and that's really it. And I'll just worry about anything else that I possibly could afterwards. As far as the metagame goes, there's a metagame in everything, to a degree. Yeah. And I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, if we would like to see it that way or not, there are certain guys that are better than others. And I mean, sites like Smogon and Cerebi and things like that are ways to sort of see what your guys' current strengths and weaknesses are. And in turn, whatever you choose to do to build around that. Figure out where this guy lacks and what you could do to cover it. Figure out where this guy good is, and you could sort of capitalize on it. So, in a way, Smogon and Cerebi do help you with that regard as far as team building on an individual basis. However, I feel as though when they do separate things into tiers, it really does isolate a lot of potential that some guys can have.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why when you normally see like the tier system, like when you go on Smogon, there's like that initial tier that's like a recommended tier for like that Pokemon, but yet there's also like movesets for other ones. You know, like if you got someone who's like in RU tier, and yet somehow they say here's a moveset that he could be using UU. There's a moveset he could be using OU. It's not so much like, oh, he's a bad Pokemon, but there's in this instance he could be good. I just got a feeling, you know, it doesn't really matter what tier that you want to label it as. Just, you know,
just put like his movesets.
Yeah.
Just lay on his movesets.
Just lay it down
There's
there
no
and go
need
at
for
it.
Tiers. There's no, in my opinion, there's no need for. You know, I understand was it like little cut, like just the little guys, like first forms.
Yeah.
I get that. That's cool. They use that in Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah.
That I like that idea. But like, and then of course like Ubers, because even like Nintendo's like you can't use like Mewtwo and all these guys in our tournaments because they're stronger than.
Yeah.
And I do understand, like, a love disc isn't going to be as good as a Gyarados. I get that. I understand.
Yeah.
But, you know, saying, well, this Arcanine's RU because he's the fire type and he's Stealth Rocks and he's horrible.
Yeah.
There's no, and I understand. Like I get it. It's their metagame. It's what that huge community decides on, and they judge. And
if you want to get down to the core of it, you could actually blame Game Freak for trying to actually keep the game diverse. Because before, like, when was it, like, before that we actually didn't really care so much about competitive play when Pokemon was around? It was the first two generations.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, like, Gen 3 when they started throwing in natures, or I don't know if they were there before, but, like, throwing in natures and making it obvious, like where, you know, what you're getting in this stat and that stat, you're losing, you know. And then I think even in Gen 3 they had abilities as well.
Yeah.
They also introduced abilities. So there's certain perks that these abilities give to these certain guys that are better than these other ones that have been given there too. So there's things that Game Freak itself had put into it that, you know, sort of separate everything else from that as well. So if you want to get to the core of it, but however, you know, the only real reason that they can even do that is to not really keep like such a stale playing field as far as like only worrying about type advantages. You know, it's supposed to broaden the game as a whole. However, isolating certain guys just because they don't meet certain standards and requirements that you would consider against another group of guys as well is just kind of, it's a bit more narrow-minded as far as like looking into Pokemon as a grand whole, not just competitively, but like all together.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
I don't know.
That's a really good point. Well, because like I understand like, Pokemon boiled down, it's not for the 18 to 34-year-old. It's for the 7-year-olds. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't care about any of this stuff. And so I know, so like the game, it caters to both worlds. You know, Pokemon's a children's game. It's a children's game. Let's not lie to ourselves. It's a children's game. But Nintendo or Game Freak put stuff in the game so older people can also enjoy it with, you know, the natures and IVs. But like the only thing I really want to get across is like the Smogon meta game is not tried, true, and the official rules. Because you know, if you
remember you telling me,
we went. Well, last year, me and Paul entered a tournament, and you know, our guys are all EV trained, and most of our guys are Smogon like set. But the guy who I was facing, the first thing he asked me was, "Oh, hey, do you follow Smogon rules?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." You know, so okay, cool. But like, what if I didn't? What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm gonna like he looks down on me, or You might think I'm cheating because I might have a move that has like, I might use minimize. You can't use minimize in Smogon rules. That's it. Like that's the only thing I want to say is Smogon is not the only way to play Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Too many people think it is. Yeah. And if you don't use Smogon rules or you don't use a set that, it's not on Smogon, you're a crappy player and, deserve to face the almighty Smogon user.
Yeah. I mean, Smogon is a good way to, like I said earlier, it's a good way to know, where your Pokemon stands and, stats and everything like that. It's a good tool to use for that, but as far as, holding it as, absolute truth.
Yeah.
That's where it
absolute
open hand claw, absolute truth. I just think that's a little bit narrow-minded as far as shutting everything else out about Pokemon as well. I mean, because that's when you got people on YouTube. I've seen battlers and things like that. They're all going to take out this OU tier with my whole NU team.
Yeah,
and it's it's saying that right there alone is saying that it's not impossible for certain Pokemon to not go toe-to-toe with these other ones that seem better. It's just really all about how it's played, how they're raised, how you have, whatever you have at your disposal and what you're, ready to do with. That's what I feel is something that's completely overlooked by the competitive community.
I think we got to end it there. It's a lot of stuff we talked about. Again, I want to ask you if anyone... I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think about X and Y as a whole? Did you guys find it too easy? What are your thoughts on the experience share or any other thing about the game? We are more than happy to discuss it with you.
Yeah, even if you just want to yell at us for no reason, go right ahead.
And also, what do you guys feel about the competitive scene in Pokemon? Do you guys only follow Smogon rules, or do you have your own type of metagame? Like me and Paul, we have our own type of metagame, which is only we don't use any legendaries, not even if they're roamers or if they're crap. We just don't use them. Mm-hmm. That's about the only role we use. So, yeah. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will talk to you guys later.
All right, see ya.